Okay guys, as you know, I'm a big fan of the old world, and I have been stuck into the new Cathay since I got my greedy hands on them a couple of weeks ago. So far I have given you videos on the Sky Lantern and the Sentinel, but this week I want to focus on things like the infantry and the cavalry, which means I have to get this box set built up. So that's what I'm going to do in today's video. What's different about that? Well, Tuca very kindly sent me out their new L2 laser cutter, which is what's in an array of pieces in front of me. And if you guys know my old world content, you know that I do not like the plastic bases that Games Workshop provide for old world miniatures. I've nothing bad to say about them. I like them for 40k, I like them for Age of Sigmar and stuff. But when a unit is pushed together and it's supposed to be one cohesive thing, I much prefer them to sit next to each other a little bit snugger, meaning the whole base acts like a scene. Which means I usually laser cut out my own bases and my own movement trays so it all sits together nicely. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get the L2 laser built and figure out all the kinks, get it all ready to rock and roll, and then I'm going to laser cut out some new trays for my Cathay Army and some very special trays for those cannon and artillery pieces. I'm very excited to show you those. So step one is getting this laser built. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then I'll come back to you guys. Okay, and there we have it. The Tuca L2 machine is now fully built, all plugged in, ready to rock and roll. I've got the extractor with the big powerful fan going up out of the skylight of the studio, so all the bad fumes and stuff will go up there. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth, I was very nervous when I opened this box. This is my 6th laser cutter review video, and only one machine previously did I have to do any assembly on, and I absolutely hated that experience, and it was horrible. So when I opened this box and saw how many components it was in, I did get a little bit nervous, but it's not nearly as bad as it looks. The actual laser cutter machine itself is completely assembled. It's just the outer casing that they want you to put together. There's a very detailed instruction booklet inside of there, and there's a QR code which I scanned, which brings you to a video which shows you step by step how to do it. So it only took me about an hour to get the whole thing ready to rock and roll, so that alleviated that fear now. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to light burn now. I'm going to design the trays, bases, and movement trays that I'm going to need for my Cathay project and get them cut out in this awesome new machine. So let's do that. Okay, obviously there's a bunch of uses for a laser cutter. I have done previous videos on laser cutters where I laser cut designs for scenery and all sorts of other bits and pieces. But my primary use for lasers is to make bases for the old world currently. I love having that at my fingertips. There's nothing worse than being excited for a project and then not having a base or something ready for it. I've laser cut out giant bases for Titans and big Knights. My Knight Porphyrion has a base, my Warren Titans have bases, my Reaver Titan has bases now. And it's all because I just laser cut out some nice thick, nice looking wood and have them glued to it. As you can see with this one, I'm currently designing the artillery base for my cannon and my rocket battery for the Cathay Army. Obviously I like doing them as a nice little scene, and I will show you very quickly what they look like afterwards. You can see how easy it was there for me to just create the shape and design for a movement tray and the rim that goes around the outside of it and stuff like that. It's a very quick process, and then when you hit laser to actually start, it only takes about 5-10 minutes for it to laser out. You can see how quick this process is at getting this machine going, and it's actually quite a nice and fun machine to watch working. Previously, my main other laser cutter that I've been using has not had this protective cover over the top of it. I had to buy a separate one, and it's like a kid's play tent. The material that it's made of has got little plastic sticks inside of it holding it all together. They've since broken, and it's an absolute nightmare. So I am very grateful that this one has everything built inside. You can actually see the smoke swirling around inside. Actually, you are cutting wood with a laser, and having that smoke get pulled to the back of the machine by the powerful fan and up and out the extractor out the window means there's virtually no smell inside the room, and the air quality doesn't go down a single degree from this, which is obviously very important for me. I don't want to be breathing in crazy fumes or anything like that from these machines. But like I said, just having this idea of the scenic base for my cannons, remembering that you can't just buy this. This is not a design or a thing. I created this myself. You can't get it from anywhere. So obviously you can just order bases and trays from other companies if you really need to. But custom stuff like this, it's not a thing. So I'm really grateful to be able to do this. And like I said, I will show you in a moment what they look like on top of, with the models on top of it, and the kind of thing that I'm going for. Now to see if I've managed to get the cutting right on this. Will it just lift out and leave all the pieces behind? Yes, it does. Everything is completely separated. I've cut it out like butter. All the edges are going to be super sharp. Everything's going to fit in beautifully. And we're going to be left with a nice tray. So this is that cannon tray that I was talking about. Like I said, it may look kind of confusing to you as to what the hell I was planning with that now, but I will show you in a moment and it will make a lot more sense. So here's my two cannon trays. This is the first one. As you can see, it's got a 40mm and 325s. The next one has a 40mm, 225s, and a 25x50 because one of the crew on these guys has a pushing the wheelbarrow. So I quickly modified the second file of laser cuts to fit that in properly. I also changed the orientation, like the ogres on the right on one and on the left on the other. So when they're all together, it's not going to be just duplicated and look the same, which is cool. And then I have my cavalry base, 5x2. And then my infantry, I decided to go 7x4, which is this one here. A nice huge unit of 28, which left me with 2 guys spare, which I will use for that video where I'm going to do 3 schemes in one video for you guys for the infantry. And yeah, this is what I was talking about, where I like it to be a solid scene. So for instance, if these were all on the traditional Games Workshop basis, the models would be pushed a little bit further, not further apart, if you will, because it is the same dimension, but because they have that like beveled side, they look separate and individual on the table. Whereas when this is all, you know, texture pasted. Okay, now it's time to get to that part of the video that I know you've all clicked on it for, which is the final review of the Grand Cathay range of miniatures that we currently have access to. But once again, big thank you to Tuka for sending out this awesome machine. My review on that machine is that it is a big thumbs up. It works perfectly. I love the built-in enclosure to keep your eyes safe. It's got a big powerful fan to suck out all the bad fumes. So yeah, it does everything it says on the tin. So if you want to check out this, there will be links down below for you to check it out yourself if you're interested in getting involved in laser cutting as part of your hobby or to start a whole new hobby. That is there. Okay, now on to the Cathay range of miniatures. It did take me a lot longer than expected to construct these guys. This video in fact was meant to be due out yesterday, but unfortunately was delayed by a day due to the fact that it took way longer to kind of build the infantry and the cavalry than I was expecting. So let's get into this and talk through each unit and what I think. So obviously the lantern is it's my pride and joy currently. I've done a whole video on painting it up. There are still the other bits and pieces that I have to finish, which is the magistrate, the 4 gunners, his little side table, and the bombs. That is the second half of this project, which I just need to find a little bit of time to carve out, finish that off, so I can just go tick, lantern finished. Even though I want another one, but we'll talk about that another time. Obviously, I did an entire video on the Sentinel. You know my feelings on this. Absolutely stunning miniature, a lot of fun to paint and really good in the game. But the construction side of it leaves a lot to be desired. The Longma miniature is really nice. Unfortunately, it is back to kind of black and white crappy instructions. But it's quite a simple miniature to put together. You don't need to worry about a lot of things. The only bit that I think was a bit weird, a little bit annoying, was putting on these little whiskery, mustachy things. You know them, the traditional. They have no real set direction. Yeah, it's hard to get them straight, and the connection point is really, really small on those sections. So I just feel like they're just going to constantly break off. If I could go back, I might have never glued them on at all and just pretended like they didn't exist. Yeah. Obviously, we have the beautiful new Gate Masters on foot and on horse, and obviously you can build them to be your battle standard bearer, if it'll focus. If you so wish, absolutely stunning miniatures. Very cool. Nothing particularly special about those. They're just really nice character on foot. It kind of harkens back to the old character box sets you used to get for Warhammer the Old World, which was foot and mounted heroes. So it's very nice to actually see that back again. Once again, the balloon with its black and white instructions. The rest of it was all built out of the Cathayan Battalion box set, which was the 2 cannons, the infantry, and the cavalry. And they got this really nice, full color, full detail instruction booklet, which is kind of what I would expect to have gotten from all of the new releases. And it's weird. This is the kind of quality of instructions that I was talking about that I wish we had gotten for things like the Cathayan Sentinel and stuff. Because it very kind of blatantly puts down what you're supposed to do. You have parts 1, 2, and 3, which make up the main body. You have the bits in yellow, which are alternate pieces, i.e. you can put on whatever hip piece you want. You can put on whatever head you want on this guy. Very clever instructions with as goes the sword. If you have the sword and shield variant of infantry miniature, then you cut the handle off the sword because obviously he's drawn it from his sheath and it wouldn't be there. Whereas if you build it with one of the halberds, obviously you leave the sword handle on because he hasn't drawn it yet as he's wielding his halberd. And literally it goes through all the different models, all the different poses, what they're supposed to look like. And it's super clear and it's super precise, and there's all the yellow sections which are interchangeable, so it even explains that perfectly. All the bases, it's really nice. This bit is the only bit that annoyed me. This actually caught me off guard. I don't know why they did this. It drove me insane. It was like they give me 3 of this sprue, 3 of this sprue, and 3 of this sprue makes up all 30 of the Jade Warriors. I'm like, okay, cool, that makes sense. And when I was like, I always like put my sprues into piles for kind of easier kind of getting parts when I'm building the model. So I started to line the sprues up matching each other. And then I realized I had more than 3 of one of the sprues. And I was like, oh no, they're after mispacking my box set. I'm after getting more of one sprue than I should. And obviously I've gotten less of another sprue. These and these are the same sprue. This is the same as this, exactly. So why did they go 3 of this and 3 of this instead of them all stacked together and 6 of this? It's a stupid little thing to complain about, but man, it caught me off guard for a second. I really thought they'd mispacked my box. But yeah, as goes the actual units themselves, like I can't say enough how beautiful they are. Like I decided to go for the halberds on my first unit of Jade Warriors. I will get a second unit of Jade Warriors and I will give them the sword and shields. I have both options available to me when I'm playing games. And obviously to boost my standard core units for my army. It took hours and hours. It took almost a full day just to build this unit because it's just so precise. All the parts go to specific bodies and stuff like that, which can be a little bit tedious. And it can get a little bit frustrating and annoy you a little bit, but when you get to the end, you see the full unit done. It does make you kind of happy and you can kind of forget about all that. So very much delighted with how this looks. Same thing with the cavalry. I stuck on the new Thunderbolt Marvel movie last night, thinking that by the end of that I will have finished them all. Unfortunately, I'd only built 6 in the 2 hours it took, so I had to build the other 4 after. So it was about 1:30 in the morning last night by the time I'd finished constructing. This unit took about 3.5 hours to make 10 knights, which is an awfully long amount of time. But it's okay. They obviously turned out spectacular. Let me just try it. Sorry for this bad photo angle for a minute. I'm trying to pick the unit up. Obviously, they all link in really nicely. They're all wielding their Cathay lances, which I've made a mess of again because I can't keep my hand straight. Like, it's incredible. Like, what a unit. They can fight in 2 ranks, which means that you get to have units of knights with a rank, which you don't usually see in other armies. So I'm very pleased about that. And I cannot wait to see what that unit looks like painted up. And obviously the pride and joy of my armies, as goes their movement trays and bases, are the cannons and the rocket battery. I love these bases that I do for them. It's going to create a whole scene around them when you deploy them on the table. And for anyone playing against me, this is the only bit that matters. That is the only thing you measure to and from when you're playing the game. Whether it's being attacked or whether it's shooting, you're measuring from the base that comes on the cannon. Therefore, the rest is just superfluous. It's just extra material around the edge. But I think it really does set the scene. And if I'm playing someone who's particularly finicky, wants to work out distances and charging against it and stuff like that, I can always take these guys out of the trays, put them on the table for them charging and stuff like that. But I think when I get those all like terraformed, adding some extra height, some extra rocks and debris and kind of stuff like that, and then obviously get them painted up, I think they're going to be really, really nice stand-out-ish pieces on the tabletop and in my army collection. Now, like I said, there's still one miniature which has not been revealed, or not has been revealed, but hasn't been released yet, and that is obviously the big, beautiful lady that transforms into a dragon. It's an awesome piece. I don't know why they're holding that back or what they're holding that back for. Hopefully it's just delayed in manufacturing or something like that, and we will get it in the next couple of weeks because I'm very excited for it, and obviously it will become the centerpiece of this whole army. As goes what I personally plan to add to this force next, I want one more unit of infantry, I want one more sky lantern, and then obviously the new dragon lady, and then I'm going to see where I am from there, as goes writing a list and seeing what I need. But as for my collecting side, like I said, one more unit of this with sword and shield, the dragon lady and another lantern would have me very, very, very happy. So yeah, that is my little review on the Cathayan forces as they currently stand. As you can see, it is a stunning selection of miniatures. And they can be quite annoying to construct, but once they are constructed, you are left with some of the finest miniatures to ever grace the old world table, and I cannot wait to use them in some games very, very soon. Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon for extra content. Make sure you check out Tuka for the laser cutter if you want to make some of these awesome bases for yourself. And look forward to more Cathay released videos in the very near future, including a triple paint scheme in one video. So I've got the champion constructed 3 times, and I'm going to be doing 3 separate schemes on these guys as my next video. So I'll look out for that very, very soon. Okay, thank you guys so much. Bye bye.